Hi, everybody. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. Want to update you on our severe weather potential tonight. And so, I'm sitting there. I told you I've been up 24 hours because I do the morning news. And so this is my time to shine right now. But I figured it would be easier just to do a live update so we can chat about it versus answering questions and going through on comment section. So I apologize. Just woke up not too long ago with the tornado warning. I'm sure a lot of you are dealing with that as well. So I want to bring you the latest on what's going on because I know a lot of you are up right now. You want to know if you can go back to bed. Is there still a threat? Is there not? And so let's kind of go through it. Right now, all of us are getting a soaking rain as this line moves through. There is some lightning with it, as we talked about earlier this evening. But the reason why we had the tornado warning, there was the potential for a quick spin-up tornado. When you get these lines of storms, and I've said this before, it's much like pushing your hand through a bathtub of water, where you push it with the wind coming through, and then you get these little swirls that form very quickly. They don't last long, but you get those swirls that develop on the outside of where your hand is pushing through. Atmosphere is the same way. The atmosphere is very fluid, and so we've got this area of wind with this line that's pushing through, and you can get quick spin ups along that line, and that's exactly what happened. Everything came together perfectly right in Lake County with the reported tornado, at least the potential for one near Cedar Lake as that went to the north, Maryville, Griffith, and then it went up towards the Gary area, went offshore. The tornado threat is over right now with that particular cell. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings right now. We have our severe thunderstorm watch, but in terms of warnings, there's nothing severe right now. But there are a few storms that we need to keep a very close eye on here as we continue to go through the early morning hours. This thing will be out of here before we know it. But if you look at the radar right now, when we look at this radar that you're seeing right now, this shows us rain. This does not show us tornado threat. It does not show wind. It shows rain. And we've got very heavy rain falling within these storms. There are pockets of strong winds, as we highlighted earlier this evening as well, with that damaging wind threat as it pushes off towards the east. But what I want to show you is we can look inside the storm. You're familiar with that. And we can not just look at the rain, we can look at the wind potential with this as well. And that gives us our thoughts on, what's spinning, what's not. And when you look at this, it's a really colorful radar, sure. Green is going towards, red is going away, all right, from the radar site, which is back towards Chicago. And so a couple things you'll note, and one thing we look for as meteorologists is when those two colors touch and when, more importantly, they kind of wrap around each other, all right? And I do not see that right now, but again, there are a few spots that we need to keep an eye on within these storms. This is the little cell right there heading offshore that produced that tornado warning. As it went off towards the north. Again, it came together, quick little spin up, and then it kind of pulled apart as it went out over the lake. What else we're seeing right now is we have an area of strong winds. This is really the main line. So if we were to kind of dissect the storm system and draw a line through where the most severe part is, it's right here. You can see where that wind shift is heading across the Lake County border right now into Porter County. That's where the intense part of this line is. There's rain out ahead of it with some wind. There's rain and thunder behind it with some wind. But this is the part that we would watch for any severe potential. And right now you can see there is a little section of some bowing winds there, but I do not see a tornado potential with that right now. I'm going to stop the movement of this so we can kind of dive in. So the strong winds with the storm system right now are pushing into Portage and South Haven, Aberdeen, heading into Valpo here shortly. Again, not severe with this, but the winds do pick up quite a bit. And what I'm going to keep my eye on here as we go through our live coverage, and again, I'll stay with you to the things out of LaPorte County, but what we're going to look for is the potential for a quick spin up with this. I don't see it right now, but you can see how right now everything's kind of linear. It's in a line. We want that, all right? We want linear. That means nothing's spinning. Everything's kind of moving at the same pace. But what happened back in Lake County and what we could see happen again, because it really doesn't take much to do this, but what we could see happen again would be when you get little notches on it, where it starts to not quite be as even or linear. You can get spin ups where you have a little burst of wind that's perhaps pushing a little bit more forward, and then you have a little wind that's kind of dragging behind. That can create a quick spin up. I don't see that potential right now. So Valparaiso, everything looks okay. It really does. Again, this is not a severe storm right now. There are some stronger winds with it, but I'm not seeing anything that's spinning right now. Again, that's what we're looking for. And then down towards the south, we need to keep our eye on this. This is not a signal for a tornado or anything like that. It's just an area that I would watch. little area here of some inflow. Not a big deal. Happens in thunderstorms all the time heading towards Wheatfield. And then I would keep my eye on that little area right there. Again, nothing to worry about right now. This is just to the north and the west of Rensselaer. But overall, that's going to head to the north and the east near Moody and Lewiston and North Marion. All right. And there's nothing, again, to write home about this right now. But this is the area of the storm that I would be watching within all the rain and the lightning and everything that we have going on, for the potential for this to start, producing maybe a spin in the atmosphere, which doesn't mean tornado. Remember, thunderstorms spin all the time. They really do. But this one in particular, I would keep my eye on. All right. So that's what we have right now in terms of wind here in the region. I'll go back to the radar again and show you what we've got in terms of rain. And that main line that we're watching is now moving right through areas of Porter County. So Valpo, you're about to get soaked right now. It's been raining, but there's a band of heavy rain. That rain's really going to pick up. You're going to notice the wind picks up as well. We've got another chunk of some heavy rain down towards Roselawn. That will get into Rensselaer and Wheatfield here shortly, and then another chunk down here heading towards Monticello. Now, what you want to know, can I go to bed? All right, and then we'll answer some of your questions on here. Back in Lake County, we are fine right now. So Lake County, you are in the clear. Go to bed. We are okay. That threat would be in Porter County into LaPorte County, right here with this cell. All right, that area. I would probably stay up just to watch this if you can. And then down towards the south, Newton County, you're fine, but Jasper County and Stark County, you are not in the clear yet in terms of a tornado threat from this. Remember, we said the tornado threat it's very low within this, all right? That was the only tornado warning in the entire northern end of this section. You get down towards the south, they're dealing with some big storms downstate, and then we have a lot of tornadoes down towards, at least tornado warnings down towards Kentucky right now. But this was one of those situations where we have a line pushing in, and it comes together just right, forms that quick spin up on it, much like pushing your hand through a tub of water, and you get those little eddies, those little swirls as you're pushing it. Same thing in the atmosphere, and that's exactly what happened here this evening. All right. If you guys have any questions or reports, please keep them coming in the chat. Anytime we do live coverage here on Region Weather, that chat is crucial, not just for me to talk to you and you to ask questions, but for you guys to talk to each other with reports. And here's what I'm seeing here. Here's what I'm not seeing here, etc. Okay. So make sure you keep that coming. I'll keep my eye out for anything in terms of questions or anything like that. Thank you guys for joining us. JP's with us tonight, one of our regulars. JP says heavy rain is confirmed. Taylor says heavy rain in Valpo. Yeah, Taylor, that heavy rain is moving in right now to the Valpo area. Again, nothing severe with this. That's the good news. But you can see this band of heavy rain. I know it looks kind of like, an 8-bit Nintendo system or 6-bit or however many bits that was. But this gives us the best view of the radar neighborhood by neighborhood. I know it's not, I tend to go presentation sometimes with graphics, but I don't do that with the radar because we can get down to street level with this, even with this. So Porter County, you're dealing with the heaviest of the storm right now. Portage, you just got done with heavy rain. Your severe weather threat is now over. It's this line right here that's moving through Valpo towards Chesterton. Again, not severe. There's some heavy rain with this, but this line is the one that we'll continue to watch out towards the east for any severe threat. Lake County, your severe threat's over. It's just rain with occasional lightning for the next hour or so, and then this system's out of here, all right? We will have some strong winds. Remember, if you joined us in our broadcast earlier this evening, I guess it was you know what I mean, it was a couple hours ago. If you joined us with our broadcast then, we were talking about the windy Saturday we have. We're going to get into the dry slot of the system, so we'll likely have some sunshine tomorrow before the clouds build back in with some rain chances coming off of what is going to be a big severe weather event down in the deep south tomorrow as these storms roll eastward, okay? So we'll keep our eye on that, and then we've got this system down to the south, this other cell that we're watching that's heading through Roselawn. This is getting into Wheatfield here shortly. I'm keeping my eye on both of those. So let's go back to the wind real quick because that's what we want to watch here. And you can see we've got a pretty good bowing segment, and we've got pretty good wind coming out of this. You can see how it's kind of bowing there. That tells you we've got a good force of wind coming through South Haven and Portage right now. The heaviest rain is gone. It's getting into Valpo with some gusty winds as well. But we have to keep our eye on this, not for tornado potential with this. I don't see tornado potential right now with that bowing area. It's the southern one that I would keep my eye on. It's a little squirrely right now, and what I mean by that, there's a couple little notches. See how there's just some little notches in there we need to keep our eye on. Nothing that would scream tornado warning or anything like that, but a few of these as we head over the next 15 minutes or so may push over the Wheatfield area, and again, we'll see how this develops as it pushes off towards the east, okay? All right. Justin, good question. Let's see. So Justin says, what about Stark County right now? So Stark County, you're getting rain right now, but the bulk of the storm's still off towards your west. It's in Jasper County. We're going to watch that portion push in. So for Stark County from west to east, we've got probably another 20 to 40 minutes before this thing moves through, okay? Before it moves in and moves through. All right, that's what we're dealing with. The other thing we talked about, I know these don't look like much. I mean, it looks like rain. It just looks like a solid band of rain moving through. We talked about earlier, and this still holds, the threat for damaging winds within this. It's not taking much to get a very strong jet level wind that we have. We have a very strong wind in the jet stream up above us. It's not taking much for these more developed downpours to pull that really strong wind up above the surface downward. So we are seeing very gusty winds within this, severe or not. And overall, plan for some driving wind and some driving rain as these move through. But in terms of pockets of, real strong damaging winds, 70 miles per hour plus, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing anything to severe levels right now. It's just below it. But you can see, I mean, we've got some pockets of some heavier rain within this. Here's the band of rain itself, stretching from South Bend back towards Chicago. But man, I keep drawing on that. But overall, that main severe part that I'm watching is right here. You can kind of see it. It's like a line within the line. All right. So we're clear right now in terms of severe weather threat in Lake County. So if you're joining us from Lake County, feel free to go back to bed. Your severe threat is over. We've got probably another half hour of rain in Lake County before it pushes on out. Same for you in Newton County. Newton County, your severe threat is over. It's now east of you. So another half hour, probably a little bit longer on the rain for you in Newton County. You can see how we've got kind of an appendage back towards the southwest, but you get the idea. It's just rain and some wind from here on out. I do not see a severe threat for you. Porter County, we're not quite ready to clear you out yet. Valpo, you just had your heavy downpour with some of the wind. We're just going to have rain from here on out, probably for another hour or so. But Valpo, your severe weather threat is almost over. Chesterton getting slammed right now with some heavy rain. You can see that higher reflectivity moving through Western Acres, getting into the Burdick area, Furnaceville, up towards Zune Acres, and Burns Harbor, picking up some heavy rain. This will get into Indiana Dunes State Park here shortly, and eventually up towards the town of Pines in Michigan City. This cell is heading your way. And again, nothing severe with this right now. It's kind of on the border of severe and not, but there's heavy rain with this, and we have had some very strong winds with it as well. Just sub-severe levels. Valpo, the heaviest part of the cell is now east of you, so we'll start to just go back to kind of a moderate rain with the wind around, but your severe threat is almost over. This part of the cell is going to head towards Westville here shortly, so if you're in Westville, you'll likely get a real heavy downpour here. It's raining now, but that downpour will get heavier in about 5 minutes or so as this continues to head along and north of US 30 right now. There's the Porter County Airport getting some heavy rain and some wind right now. And then down to the south, here's our other cell. Again, Forest City getting hit pretty hard with some heavy rain. Wheatfield, that rain is picking up in intensity for you. It's going to get real heavy in about 3-4 minutes or so as this band goes through. We'll probably pick up that wind as well. Something we need to keep an eye on, obviously, is that potential for a quick spin up. I don't see anything right now. This, again, is the wind. There are some pockets of stronger wind developing in Porter County right now. I'll let it play there, then kind of look at this. You see this pocket that just went through Valpo. There's some stronger wind right in here, heading up towards the Westville area, probably on the order of about 40 miles per hour with that. So that's enough to cause some concern when you're looking outside, right? And then another area of strong winds, as we mentioned with this band, as it moves through the Chesterton area. Porter getting some stronger winds with that rain as well. Nothing severe with this, and I don't see a tornado threat with this either, okay? So this is just thunderstorm wind. That's just below severe criteria. We will need to keep an eye on this little pocket too. You see how we're starting to kind of mix the colors a little bit there. We're getting kind of a pocket of some lower winds mixed with a pocket of stronger winds going through Chesterton. So something to watch. Again, any tornado threat that we have is not for what they're expecting down towards the south, the deep south, down towards even as far north as areas of Kentucky and southern areas of Indiana. There's a threat for not just tornadoes, but stronger tornadoes in the setup. Our setup is not there for strong tornadoes, okay? These aren't going to be the huge tornadoes you take pictures of. If we had a tornado threat, and again, we mentioned this, it's low, but if we had it, it would be for quick spin-up tornadoes, all right? These are just kind of ugly tornadoes that come down. They have the potential to hit the ground real quick and bounce up, and they can cause some damage, obviously, to the structures, but we're not dealing with any of the long-lived tornadoes and strong tornadoes that they're dealing with down south. We're looking for quick spin-ups. The problem with quick spin-ups, they can occur pretty quickly. I feel confident with my radar knowledge and experience that we can call it in advance before it gets warned or anything like that. But they do happen pretty quickly, so we need to react quickly on that as well. Okay, Wheatfield, you just had your strong winds move through. That's good news because it gets easier from here. All right, the strong winds are now off towards the east. You're getting them right now. That wind will start to kind of die down a little bit. It'll just be gusty after that versus, the band of strong winds of that rain. So that's good news for you. Heads up, La Crosse and North Judson, you are next in terms of these stronger winds. Sub-severe right now, but something we need to watch here over the next 20 minutes. And then look at this pocket of wind developing just to the west of Westville. Say that 2 times fast at this time in the morning. This pocket of wind could be on the order of 45, maybe 50 miles per hour. So we need to keep an eye on this. This may be, if this continues to keep up and we see this little burst of wind here, we may have a severe thunderstorm warning for the cell as it pushes into LaPorte County. All right, so heads up Westville, Pinhook up towards Door Village and Holmesville. This is, again, heading off towards the north and east pretty quickly, around 60 miles per hour. A little gust of wind there, and that gust of wind is noteworthy. That could cause a little bit of damage as it moves north and east. Michigan City, you're up next in terms of some of the stronger winds moving in with that main line. Okay, so here's our line right now. Valpo, you're okay. You can go to bed. Portage, South Haven, you can go to bed as well. Wheatfield, you're about in the clear. Okay. So our heads up is going to be for areas of LaPorte County and Stark County here. These things are moving quickly, okay? They're moving at highway speed, so like a slow highway speed, like grandma driving highway speed, not the speed that you guys all go, okay? Or me, myself. I'm a pretty fast driver, but safe. In terms of lightning, notice how the bulk of it's now off towards the east. That's good news. That tells you when we look at thunderstorms, often lightning is an indicator of if the storm is strengthening or weakening. If you see an uptick in lightning with a thunderstorm that's over you, that tells you there's some atmospheric energy up above you and this thing's strengthening. When we see lightning ticks kind of go away or we're not seeing as many of them, that tells us the storms are weakening. Overall, these are not really that strong of thunderstorms. We've got strong winds, yes. We've got heavy rain, yes, but on the scale of 1 to 10 in terms of storms, these are not particularly strong. This is what we were talking about in that broadcast earlier that the HRRR was picking up on, the HRRR model. It was showing the bigger storms downstate, and it was showing kind of that shield of rain on the north end. And that's what we're seeing right now is that big shield of rain. We don't have the individual supercells, but our shield of rain does have a line in it where we have wind pushing through. And again, that wind can produce little quick spin-ups. And so that's what we've got our eye out for here this evening. I do want to take you downstate briefly now at some of these warnings. We have a tornado warning down towards Terre Haute, and that is, let me switch radar sites for you here. Here's our Indianapolis radar right now. This is where the action really starts, down towards the south. And I'll just show this, if you have friends or family down here, we'll cover it briefly here. But they have not the best of radar coverage as you get to the west of Indianapolis towards the state line. So we don't have a really good read on where that tornado is. In fact, I'm getting kind of a headache from looking at that. But here's where the tornado would be within this storm. Again, this is well south of us as we get into the Prairieton area, Youngstown, Indiana, Prairie Creek. This system or this cell continues to head off towards the north and the east, and that would bring impacts to the south of downtown Terre Haute as we go over the next half hour. Well, I would say probably 15, 20 minutes or so. So heads up to those folks down there. As we continue to head downstate, the presentation is going to get ugly, but we can at least see what we've got going on. A few other tornado warnings, one down here towards Vincennes, and then another one down towards Evansville. This one looks promising in terms of something being on the ground heading into the Evansville area. So this is probably about a minute from crossing the state line from southern Illinois into southern Indiana. And then another tornado warning down here as we get into extreme southwestern Kentucky. All right, so we've had a very active night. You go further south, down towards Tupelo. There's a tornado warning storm, another one down towards Columbus, Mississippi that bears some watching as well. But you can see there are embedded tornado warnings along this line, but the atmosphere is a lot more structured to produce tornadoes down towards the south. Our breed of tornado would be a lot different here. It'd be a quick spin up, if anything. And again, that's what we've got our eyes on here this evening. Okay. All right, so I don't like using the Northern Indiana radar. It's just a little messier. I like the Chicago radar still, which kind of shows that line and what these winds are doing. Okay. All right, let's go back through a recap real quick. Let me ask for any questions if you guys have anything. I hope you guys are doing okay. I mean, I often, don't take enough time to talk to you guys because I'm trying to spew out information. But I know how it goes. Tornado warning kind of, everyone gets everyone's attention. Especially in the overnight hours. And now we all have the worry, what's going to happen in my town? I can't see outside. Where's the coverage? Here we are. But what's going on the rest of the evening. So I want to be the voice of reason, as we usually are, without the hype in terms of these storms, to let you know whether you can go back to bed or not. Okay, that's the whole point here this evening. And I will do the same. I will go back to bed as well, if that's okay. Once we get these storms out of here. I want to get them through Stark and LaPorte County, though. Okay, I want you folks to be safe as we go through the evening. All right, so who can we have go back to bed? Lake County, if you're just joining us. I'm not worried about Lake County anymore. Your severe threat's over. That's good. Go back to bed. You know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to put Z's on here, and I'm going to change the color so we can see it a little bit better. Let's do bright blue. Okay, so we can go back to bed. Z in Lake County, Newton County, go back to bed. We can now clear you out in Porter County. So go back to bed. Lake County, not quite yet. If you live in this portion of the county, you can go to bed, all right in here. But the southeastern portion, including Valpo, I want you to hang with me just for a little bit longer here, probably another 5 minutes or so. Let's get this storm out of here. LaPorte County, heads up. We're going to keep an eye on these storms as they roll through. And Stark County, heads up to you. We're not severe weather clear yet. We've got to get this line through first, okay? Not guaranteeing severe weather with this at all, but these storms have been a little squirrely. I like to use that term. It kind of makes sense. And so we want to keep an eye on those as they continue to slide off towards the east. I just realized I had Justin's comment up for like the last half hour. So there's that. All right, Justin, you got some good airtime tonight. In terms of this line of storms now, let's kind of track it. Heading towards the Wanata area, you're about to get hit with some heavy rain. It's over Malden. Couts, you just had some heavy rain. The bulk of it is now through you. Valpo, we're going to get another downpour here off of this appendage of the storm here. This is going to move through with another decent downpour. Yes, there's rain everywhere, but there's pockets of even heavier rain that we're watching kind of within that, all right? And then down towards the south, this line extends down into areas of Jasper County, picking up some heavy rain. Right now, Wheatfield, you're still getting heavy rain. Newland, Moody, down towards Pleasant Ridge, picking up rain. This is getting into Pulaski County now, which is outside our coverage area, but Pulaski County getting some heavy rain heading into Winnemac here shortly. Down towards Lakeside, some pretty heavy rain with that as well. And then off towards the north, the heaviest batch of this rain has pushed out over the lake. Michigan City, you're getting clipped by it. So Michigan City going to get a quick downpour here with some gusty winds, and that will push on out as well. All right, let me zoom out. Let's switch it over to wind because that is the important thing that we're keeping our eye on. And we still have some pockets of some stronger wind. In terms of radar analysis and looking for a quick spin-up tornado, I don't see a threat right now. We'll have to keep our eye on this little pocket right here as it slides up towards LaPorte. Doesn't mean anything. It's just an area of the radar that I would watch. And then we're going to keep our eye on this little pocket down towards the south, all right? And that would be down towards North Judson heading into Stark County here shortly, okay? I don't see anything that needs to be warned, just a couple things that we'd watch. What does stick out to you are some of these brighter colors, and rightfully so. Those are some gustier winds, likely on the order of 30 to 40 miles per hour right now. We've got another wind gust with some of that rain coming into Valpo. Not a big deal, just some gusty winds within this system as well. And then down towards the south and the east of Valpo, heading towards Wanata, we do have an area of stronger winds, likely on the order of probably 35 to 40, I would rate that. That will be going into South Wanata, La Crosse, some gusty winds within that rain, and into Wanata itself. Hannah, heads up to you, some of that stronger winds coming your way. But I don't see a tornado threat with that right now either. That's good news, all right? So these storms are moving pretty quickly out towards the east. we've got this general line that we're dealing with here this evening. Here's the general line that's pushing from west to east. This thing's in and out of here pretty quickly, all right? But that's the problem, is it's moving fast, so we need to keep up with it. But notice that main band of rain within this band. So here's the line right here, now ending in Chicago. Wow, I just keep that mouse down. So here's your band of rain back here. It's starting to rain out towards the Goshen area now, and then you get this embedded band right in here. This is where the severe weather threat is, within these kind of the middle of this entire line. So you get rain, you get some wind, and then you get rain and some wind, and then on the backside of it you get rain and some wind. All right, so there's three different sections. That middle one is the one that we've got our eyes on. All right, so that hopefully helps you kind of dissect the radar when you're looking at it on your app, etc. Okay. All right, let's see what comments you guys have. If you guys have, we have Savannah's power was flickering in Chesterton. Amber's asking for hail. Amber, in terms of the radar, I'm not seeing a lot of hail. There are some pockets of some hail, mainly aloft. Hail isn't going to be the big threat from this, but it is something we have to keep an eye on. So let me see. We'll pull up our hail radar. So this is the hail radar, and we can kind of look up in the clouds and see where there is some hail. And you can see we haven't had much at all. There is a pocket of some hail developing just to the east of Couts within that line. So we have some very small hail, sub-severe, but there is some hail involved, at least aloft. You know, if it's making down to the surface, I'm sure it is, probably on the order of like pea size or smaller, heading towards Wanata. Another one here down towards Winnemac, and you can see that cell continues to be severe thunderstorm warned, and that's for some of the strong winds and for some of the hail that's developing now just to the south of Winnemac. But we are severe weather clear right now here in the region. Again, what we're looking at here on this loop is hail, and it's all small. Here's your hail radar right now, just to the east of Couts, heading towards La Crosse. We might get some small hail with this. We'll see if this grows. Again, atmosphere not really structured to produce big hail here locally. It is well downstate with colder air aloft, but not here, not locally. Wanata and Hannah, heads up for perhaps a little bit of hail moving through. Okay, so that's your hail radar for you. Great question on there. I know that you were asking, but this cell's pretty intense right now. I mean, this cell's coming together. La Crosse, you're getting raked right now with some really heavy rain. Probably looks close to a hurricane in terms of what it looks like outside. I mean, we've got 40-mile-per-hour winds pushing through, just sub-severe, but that combined with a really heavy rain that's coming down and some small hail potentially is making it a mess for you in La Crosse right now. This will get into Thomaston soon, and then up into the Hannah area. Wanata, you've got rain that's been kind of increasingly getting more heavy as we've gone over the last 10 minutes or so. That rain will continue to increase and get heavier here before it kind of backs off. But we've got strong winds moving into Wanata as well. So there's that. Phoebe asked a good question. How will South Bend look? So South Bend's starting to get rain right now, Phoebe, but they have pretty much same threat we do. What we're going to watch for is, I mean, this heavy rain's going to move in, and then they're going to have to deal with the same line right here, okay? So this is the line that we need to watch in northern Indiana as it goes from west to east. So that will be in South Bend probably in, I would say, an hour or so, hour, 15 minutes. Their threat is about as high as ours, which isn't really that high. Hopefully everything will behave and kind of the winds will continue to line up and everything will be fine. But they do run the risk, much like we do, of a quick spin-up tornado. At least the potential's there. But you know, I would imagine we'll get out of this without much of anything in the South Bend area. It's heading into more stable air. But again, that threat is not zero for them. It's very similar to ours. So gusty winds and heavy rain will be the primary threat. They're getting some lightning now, the initial end of that. A few lightning strikes here near Wanata with this cell and a couple down towards Winnemac as well. So that lightning's not quite done. It certainly isn't prolific though. All right, so that's what we're dealing with. All right, so we do have a new warning now. I'm getting that, and that's for the cell that we're tracking, this one right here. Okay, so it'll pop up on my screen shortly. A lot of you I see getting that alert as well. I do see it, so there's that. But this is the cell right here that we're tracking with that severe thunderstorm warning. There's another one down here towards Winnemac as well that is severe thunderstorm warned. And so this is the part that we need to keep our eye on here. And this is for hail and strong winds that have developed within this line, all right, in LaPorte County. So there's that. Let me check the info real quick since it's not popping up on my screen quite yet, or is it? It is there. There we go. It is on our map now. So here you go. New severe thunderstorm warning. This will expire in 37 minutes. And notice how it says these are the things that we need to read on our phones. A lot of people to see severe thunderstorm warning, but the Weather Service takes real good time to put details on that storm. They don't take a lot of time, but they take some time to put details on the storm. So wind potential up to 60 within this, I would agree with that. And tornado possible, the reason why they have the tornado possible tag on that is because of how storms have behaved and how we had that tornado warning in Lake County earlier this overnight, I guess earlier this morning we can call it, with a quick spin up tornado. That's what we have to keep an eye on. So yes, the tornado is possible. Here's the text on it. Severe thunderstorms moving in a line from Wanata to North Judson. We've been tracking this. There's no surprise with that. This is nothing new. It's moving northeast at 60. That's nothing new either. These storms have been hauling. And locations in the impact of that, we'll talk about that. But Hamlet, Lomax, North Liberty, Westville, over towards Pinhook, we'll cover all these areas. La Crosse, we already did. Includes Interstate 80 between mile markers 39 and 55. And I like this tag on it. It says, remain alert for possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot one, you know the drill. Go to the basement, right? Or interior room if you don't have a basement. But there's no need to do that right now. All right, so let's dive into the radar. I want to go back to the wind so we can keep our eye on that for you folks in LaPorte County. All right, it's getting a little bit more squirrely, as we'll call it. Here's your severe thunderstorm warning watch box. So Michigan City, you're not in it. Here's the polygon that we're talking. So this area right here is the area to watch. And I would probably shrink it up even more so to like this area right here. Okay, this is like the main area to watch right now with this activity here near Wanata. Okay. So we're seeing some strong winds right now, and we're also seeing a little bit of rotation. Again, storms rotate all the time. It's not a big deal, but this would be our first thing where we'd say, okay, let's keep a closer eye on the storm in LaPorte County. You can see how we have a little bit of wind going towards the radar there in Hanna, and then we get this big speed max, this big burst of wind kind of coming outward there. Doesn't mean anything. There's not a tornado with this. There's just a little area that may start rotating. It may go away on the next scan, and that's what I would hope. This doesn't look like a tornado setup for me. All right. What I would need to see is probably this area right here. I need to have that green placed here for that to be a tornado. This part right here does not. Just because the two colors are touching, there's not a couplet with it. All right. That wind is pushing into just an area of kind of dead wind near Hanna right now. So there's that. Okay. So strong winds can be expected with this, though. For those that are in the Hanna area up towards Wellsboro, Kingsbury, Kingsford Heights, all those areas are in the path of some of these stronger winds. And notice how we just switched over. I know those colors changed. We just switched over to a different color panel. I'm not sure why it did that. 'Cause sometimes I have the automated switch over on there, but I'm not sure why the colors just changed. But I am going to switch over to kind of a messier looking radar, but this is going to give us our best view in LaPorte and Stark counties of the wind. This is our northern Indiana radar, which is in North Webster. Okay, so we can choose from Romeoville radar south of Chicago, or we can choose from North Webster. And as these storms head out in LaPorte County, we're going to switch radar sites over so we can get a better look at the storm. Okay, so this is our line right here. Notice, man, I hate to play this because it's just so noisy. I'm very conscious of presentation when we're looking at these as well. But here's your little line of wind right here with some strong winds that will get into LaPorte and Kingsford Heights. Man, I don't like the look of this radar in terms of just presentation. It's just too noisy. I still like the Chicago radar on this. I hate to say that. You can see the radar. I mean, this is the edge of the radar. Chicago radar gets out to about South Bend. And you have to keep in mind with the Earth's curvature, that radar beam from Chicago, as we get farther and farther away from the actual radar site, south of Chicago, that radar beam as the Earth's curve goes higher and higher in the sky. So that's one thing that we have to keep note of. When we get to the outer bands or the outer edge of where the radars go, we're not getting a true read of what's happening down at the surface because our radar beam is now going up more so up into the clouds, essentially. As you get further out. And so we're not getting a good read at the surface. So we do have to be careful, and meteorologists need to be careful when they're using radar sites that are far away from where the actual storms are. And this is kind of a weird area. LaPorte County, you're far away from the Chicago radar. You're kind of far away, meteorological speaking, from the North Webster radar. So it is kind of a tough area to forecast and to call tornado warnings and stuff like that. All right. That's why we're going to take this storm seriously. So we continue to see that little pocket of like some kind of dead air near Kingsbury right now. Again, that is something that we would watch as this gust of wind. You see it here as this gust of wind continues to push north and east. We likely have winds on the order of 50 with this right now. May have some higher gusts with that as well, because again, we're getting a read up into the sky a little bit higher rather than down at the surface. So again, damaging winds are possible in LaPorte County, getting into the Wellsboro, Westville area. LaPorte, you would be probably 10 minutes away from some stronger winds moving in with this. Kingsbury, you'll be getting into some stronger winds here shortly. It's gone very light for you, and the wind is very light in Kingsford Heights right now. We've got our eye on that cell for any possible rotation. And then down towards the south in Pulaski County, Winnemac, you're about to get hit with some strong winds right now. That storm is severe thunderstorm warned. All right. In terms of Stark County, North Judson, some strong winds. I don't see anything too bad in Stark County right now. I mean, there are some strong winds in here. I don't want to let our guard down on 40-mile-per-hour winds. But this storm, as it continues to head out towards the east, the most impactful part of this is up in LaPorte County right now. Okay. If you are just joining us, I am very conscious of the fact that the Facebook Live, especially this late at night, people are coming and going, and a lot of people need to go to bed. All right. So if you're just joining, I want to kind of guide you through what we're dealing with here weather-wise, give you kind of a recap of what we've got here in the region. So we're dealing with our line of storms that's moving through. It's a very quick mover. It's moving west to east about 60 miles per hour. The individual cells within it are moving from southwest to northeast around 60 miles per hour as well. So kind of two things going on here. The rain is almost done for you in areas of Lake County, and your severe weather threat is well over. We sent you to bed a while ago. So Lake County, all of Lake County, you can go to bed. Oh, I forgot I'm doing Z's. So Lake County, you are severe weather clear here this evening. Porter County, you are severe weather clear this evening. So go to bed. Down in areas of Newton County and Jasper County, you are both severe weather clear. Areas we're watching right now is LaPorte County with this cell. All right, it's this little line that we need to watch right here, and then we've got another one down to the south. Those are the two lines that would be capable of producing severe weather within this giant thing, okay? I'm not expecting more to develop out towards the west. We're done. So that's why I said we're severe weather clear in Lake and Porter counties and in Newton and Jasper County. We are not severe weather clear quite yet in LaPorte County or Stark County. All right, those are the two counties we've got our eyes on. And again, it's from these little lines of storms that we're dealing with that are producing the potential for damaging winds. We do have some hail within it as well. There is some lightning. Lightning's not too big of an issue, and we've got just really heavy blinding downpours. So if we have any third shift workers that are heading out to work this evening in LaPorte or Stark counties, it is coming down real good, and you're going to experience pretty messy travel as you're heading to work, in addition to some strong winds. Okay, so there's that. Let me see. So we've got JP said he's been doing some hard work at work, and also keeping an eye on the weather as well. So there's that. Iron Jim, not confirmed yet. We got some good reports, and I'm seeing a lot of reports of a potential touchdown with that started perhaps down towards Cedar Lake as that system got going. But boy, on radar, the presentation with that was for a quick spin up. I mean, these things just kind of came together. The wind came together, formed a quick spin up near Maryville, Griffith area, and then went off to the north near Gary. So the National Weather Service will, probably look at this tomorrow. They get out and survey damage to see if it was a tornado or not. So we really can't confirm it yet, but certainly showed the signs of it on radar. So there's that. Let's see. Oh, Ashley asks, so in Portage, is it good to go to bed? Yes, you are just fine in Portage. Ashley, you're going to pick up another downpour in about 2 minutes. All right, that rain's going to get heavier again, but it's nothing to write home about. There's going to be a little wind with it, but nothing severe. Your severe weather threat is over. Okay. Katie asking about Wanata. Let's check. Yes, you are good in the Wanata area. Yeah, you're fine. This system is now out. Here's the heaviest. Here's where you are, Katie. The biggest storm is now east of you, and that's where the severe weather threat is. Okay, so you're fine right now. Michelle, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. It's Friday night, heading into Saturday morning. This is my sleep time because I do the morning show, so I'm usually up at this hour. I mean, this is my time to shine. Problem is, I only slept for about an hour on the last 27 hours. So I don't know how words are coming to my mouth, but I want to make sure you guys are safe for sure. Okay, Lori. Yeah, so Lori, once the rain moves through, we're talking wind gusts that are going to pick up again tomorrow morning into the midday hours, and we're talking non-thunderstorm winds, so it's not going to be thunderstorming. We're going to have some sunshine to start before clouds fill back in with some rain chances later in the day. But we're going to have winds on the order of 45 to 55, maybe higher at times with gusts tomorrow. It's going to be a very windy day area wide, and so loose furniture, stuff like that, we need to make sure that we're on it, all right, and make sure it's tied down or just put away. Why don't we just do that? It's kind of tough to tie your furniture down. I've heard that many times in my life, though. Tie down your furniture. We'll see. All right, JP, you're welcome. All right, let's see. Yes, so Lori, in Porter County, we're still seeing some gusty winds within this rain, but the severe winds are now east of you. All right, Aaron's over in Westville. Let's get some updates for you. And you say the trees aren't even moving in Westville. Let's take a look at your wind there, Aaron. Some of this wind is up, obviously elevated, because we're getting a read of what's happening up in the clouds. But let's see here. Okay, we'll dive into our storm. Yeah, the winds have actually backed off a little bit. Notice how we had strong winds in that line moving through Wanata. The strongest winds are now north, all right? So the strongest winds are now moving into Michigan City. Let me pause it so we can kind of look at it. So our winds have really backed off in the severe cell. In fact, I don't see much of a reason for this to be severe weather warned anymore. The strongest winds are actually outside of the box heading into Michigan City, likely some 40-mile-per-hour gusts there. But I don't see much of anything going on wind-wise within this line right now, and that's some really good news. What we do have within this line is some very heavy rain. I mean, it's coming down in LaPorte right now. It's really raining heavy in Kingsford Heights and Kingsbury. This will get into Stillwell here shortly, up towards Rolling Prairie. We've got this cell that's in LaPorte. It's going to bring heavy rain to you. But in terms of the wind, I just see our normal 30 to 40 mile per hour winds within this, at least pockets of it. So that's some really good news coming out of LaPorte County. Still worthy of watching, all right, because this is still producing some heavy rain. I would imagine we've got some hail coming down within this. That's why we've got the higher reflectivity values here. So let's dive in and look at that. The hail radar, unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's in sales mode, so it's not updated. But I would imagine we've got some hail in this area right here. Not huge hail, but just enough to bump up that reflectivity, all right? So that's that. Eileen, I see your comment on Rolling Prairie. Yep, I got your update for you for sure. Let's see. So Draga said last time I heard wind like that was a tornado in Wheatfield. Yeah. So guys, I mean, this thing's producing some strong wind with it, and that's something we highlighted in our broadcast earlier this evening, is that even the smallest looking showers within this are tapping into a very strong jet stream level wind that's up above us, and it's bringing that wind down to the surface. You get enough of a downdraft with the rain and with some of the hail, and it's bringing that strong wind, which is zipping above us, it brings it down to the ground. So we are seeing some pockets of real strong winds in here. So I just want you guys to be on alert that, that wind continues to be the biggest issue with these storms. Stark County, we can almost clear you out. We've got this little appendage back here towards North Judson that I want to keep my eye on. But the bulk of this storm is now east of you. So that's some good news for you. That's going to head into Marshall County here. Plymouth will be impacted by that here shortly. But this is really the big show right now, from LaPorte down towards Kingsford Heights, with some hail and some very heavy rain with this. And there's some strong wind with it as well. All right. Let's go back to the wind radar again, because that's the one we need to keep our eye on here. And I don't see anything too weird. We'll keep our eye on this pocket down here, down towards Knox. Again, something I'll just keep my eye on. You can see that there are some pockets of some lighter wind mixed with some stronger wind. And that can lead to spin-ups. But we really are losing our spin-up potential. I don't want to say that, and then we have something happen. We need to keep our eye on it for sure. But in terms of that spin-up potential, we're losing the ability to do that. The atmosphere, these storms aren't as rooted to the ground as they head further east. It's more stable. So that's good news for us, but something we need to still keep an eye on, given the way that Lake County storm performed a little while ago. Okay. Yeah, so there's that. JP asked a good question. This is a great question for 2:37 in the morning, JP, but it really is. What are the differences between downdrafts and microbursts? So they're pretty similar. Microbursts are a lot. They get a lot more street cred, I guess you could say. And so those form oftentimes in the summer months when you have a pocket of dry air. So remember, our atmosphere is structured like a sandwich. All right, there's different layers to it. It's not just us here down at the surface. And what you can get in some of the summer months is you can get a sliver of dry air that forms in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, okay? So this cloud goes up, it gets into that dry air, it busts through the cap and goes up above it. So now you have a mature thunderstorm that has a pocket of dry air in the mid-levels of it. So it's you've got the moisture on the top, you've got the moisture on the bottom, and then in between you've got this pocket of dry air. And so what happens is you'll get rain and hail that's forming up in the top of the cloud, and it falls into that dry air. And remember, dry air will evaporate things, okay? It'll dry things out. And so that rain and some of that hail will evaporate up in the middle of a thunderstorm. And remember, evaporation is a cooling process, right? That's why we sweat in the summertime. We evaporate and we sweat and it evaporates into the air and it cools our skin. You may not feel it, but that's what's happening. That's why we sweat. Evaporation cools things. It cools the air around it. And so when you get this evaporation in the middle of a big, robust thunderstorm cloud, it cools the air. You develop this pool in the middle of the cloud of cold air that develops because everything evaporated, right? And cold air is heavy and dense. It wants to sink. Warm air rises, cold air is heavy and dense, it sinks. And so that's when you get this big pocket or big bubble of cold air up inside the cloud. It wants to sink. And so what does it do? It starts sinking and falling quickly. It wasn't something that existed when the thunderstorm developed. It's something that developed in the thunderstorm, that cold air. And so it sinks to the ground. That heavy cold air sinks to the ground. And JP, it can't go into the ground. So what's it do? It hits the ground and goes out. That's your microburst, all right? Downdrafts happen all the time in thunderstorms. There's updrafts and downdrafts. Downdrafts can be, we're getting downdrafts now in these storms. We're getting updrafts in these storms as well. Downdrafts don't always mean severe weather. It's just the downward motion of air in a thunderstorm. So hopefully that helps. That is the last explanation I'm doing at this hour, though, JP. Okay, we're back to radar coverage after this. So there's that. All right, let's talk these storms. Couple things to note here. You can see on here on the radar, all these little plus symbols here. Those are lightning strikes. We have had an uptick in lightning strikes near LaPorte and areas of LaPorte County. So that tells me that the storm might be getting a little gusto again, getting a little energy. Remember, lightning is an indicator of storm strength, if it's weakening or strengthening. All right. So here's our storm right now. This is a nasty line of storms. It really is. It's still severe thunderstorm warned. I'm not seeing super strong winds on the radar, but remember, we're shooting up into the cloud now as we get further away from it. So I would imagine there's some strong winds with this. Rolling Prairie, you're right in the heart of it right now. Some really heavy rain. There's probably small hail mixing in. So Eileen, for you, there's probably some small hail mixing in with the storm. This storm stretches down towards Stillwell. We've got heavy rain for you, like really heavy rain as this moves out towards the east. Kankakee, the second one, not the one in Illinois. This is an area that we'll need to watch for some heavy rain pushing in. Fish Lake as well, getting into the Hudson Lake area. All these areas are going to get some heavy rain here in the next 5 minutes or so. And then eventually this cell is going to head over into St. Joseph County. All right, so South Bend, heads up for you. This system would be coming your way. All right, that's pretty much it. This Stark County storm I'm not impressed with. We still have the warning out just east of Knox. That warning could be trimmed up a little bit. This cell is now east of you, getting into Marshall County. So Stark County, you are about in the severe weather clear here this evening. That's the good news. We've got this little appendage here just north of Hamlet heading towards Walkerton that we'll need to keep an eye on. But I would say another 5 minutes or so, and this cell is going to be out of LaPorte County. That's how fast these are moving. All right, I am going to switch radars real quick. I just want to check the winds. We'll go back to our northern Indiana radar here and see if the wind looks any better on that in terms of presentation. So yeah, it does look much better. This is much cleaner than what it was earlier. So this is what we're watching. I'm taking you back to LaPorte County right now. LaPorte itself is clear. All right, we're good for you. We're good in Michigan City. Go to bed. All right, you can leave us. Thanks for joining us. Get some sleep. Stillwell right now, this is where that little area of gusty wind is. Rolling Prairie is fine in terms of wind. Yeah, we've got some strong winds in there, but nothing really severe in my mind. I mean, the winds are strong in all these showers, okay? So you're going to get some bursts of wind, but I'm looking for severe pockets. We're talking 60 or higher in terms of the wind, or 57 and higher. Stillwell, this pocket heading towards Fish Lake, that's a pretty strong wind gust within this heavy rain. So that should be severe weather warned, which it is. This will get into Fish Lake here shortly, over towards North Liberty. I'm going to mute my mic. I have to sneeze. Was that not professional to mute my mic? I felt really great about that. Normally, I wouldn't do that. And normally, I sneeze 3 times. I'm one of those 3 sneezers, but we just had one this evening. I'm not sure what happened. Eileen says, getting back to your comments again, tons of lightning and thunder picking up in Rolling Prairie, but no wind still. Okay, thanks for the update on the wind. That's interesting because we're not getting a good feed down at the surface of the wind. And out in LaPorte County, I mean, I'm not getting a real true read. I can tell you what I think. But yeah, I mean, so this wind is not that impressive. That's great to know. That tells me that this probably isn't as impressive as it looks on radar heading towards Fish Lake. But you'd be getting the wind right now, Eileen. So if you're not getting it, I don't see anything getting stronger. This is really the only gust of wind near Stillwell that we need to watch. So there's that. JP, you're welcome. Yep, hope that worked out. Eileen does say that we got some hail in Rolling Prairie as well. So thank you for that update. Deb, absolutely. Thanks for joining us in Rolling Prairie. I'm glad we got you through this safe. Again, that rain is coming down in buckets right now. Let's go back to the hail radar, see if it has updated. And it has. There you go. So yeah, so we did develop some hail with this. This is updating every 5 minutes, the hail radar. So this is probably right in here now. All right. So Fish Lake up towards Bircham, Rolling Prairie, Hudson Lake, probably dealing with some small hail right now. Nothing severe. Nate, you're absolutely right. That sneeze felt awesome. A lot of times I'll hold them in. I'll be at work or getting ready to go on air or something, and I'll just hold it in, which isn't good for you. I guess, I'm damaging brain cells or something. But that one, I said, heck with it. It's 2:45 in the morning. I'm on an hour's sleep over the last 28 hours now. I'm just going to let loose online. And it felt relieving. It felt really, really good. In fact, I might try another one before bed just to put me to sleep. So we'll see. Thanks for the comment, though. Thanks for the laugh here overnight. All right, guys. So I'm going to give this a final scan here, and then I'm going to go to bed. I think you guys should too, and rightfully so. Here's what we're dealing with. Just a general rain in all of our counties, exception being LaPorte. LaPorte's clear right now. Rolling Prairie is in the clear, severe weather-wise. This line continues out towards the east. This does have eyes on South Bend with a damaging wind threat with it, but notice this line is now getting out of LaPorte County and crossing into St. Joe County. All right, that's good news. New Carlisle picking up some heavy rain right now down towards Kankakee, but in another minute or so, we are going to be severe weather clear. One more check of the wind. This is my favorite time of the night when we can finally say goodbye and this is again why I don't do weather for the entire state of Indiana or all of northern Indiana, because you need to cut it off somewhere, all right? And we cut it off at St. Joseph County, okay? LaPorte County is our last county out towards the east. Stark County, you too. You guys are the ones that we hang with until they get out of those counties. And so there you go. Several severe thunderstorm warnings with these, though, as they push east. Again, that damaging wind threat is still there with these storms. Everything's linear right now. This is good news. Everything's kind of in a line. We have a little kink here, a little inflow, not too noteworthy. A little burst of wind there that we're talking about near Fish Lake. But overall, everything's kind of behaving with this line, and hopefully we'll keep it that way as it goes towards South Bend. All right, quick check, real quick. I'm going to keep this radar on because we can actually see the other warnings downstate. Notice we've got severe thunderstorm warnings extending down towards Kokomo. Indianapolis is good right now. There's storms moving in, but in terms of severe weather, they're good for now. There's a severe thunderstorm warning downstate. Here's your tornado warning down towards Evansville. Another one down towards Paducah in Kentucky, and another one down towards Tupelo. So things still very active along the southern part of that line. But for us here in the region, I am going to let you guys go. Let me see. Oh, absolutely. Going to bed, have to work in 3 hours. Justin, get to sleep. Yeah, Danielle, you too. Kimberly, thank you. Yes, thanks for hopping on. I do appreciate the trust. Linda, absolutely. Dragon says just go for it. You too. All right, we'll let you guys go. Guys, thanks for hanging with me tonight. I do appreciate it. Get some sleep. We're fine from here on out, okay? Sleep soundly. Enjoy the sound of the rain on the window, whatever you got going on, okay? All right, you guys get some sleep, and we'll talk to you over the weekend. We'll give you